902.2, an ordinance amending Ordinance 902 establishing sex offender residency prohibitions. I'd like to call upon County Counsel Greg Priamus to comment, and then Judy Waltz would like to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you for pulling this item. Last week, there were a number of speakers on this issue, and there were a number of statements that weren't necessarily accurate. And so we'd like to take the opportunity to clarify any misunderstandings as to the history as well as the import of this ordinance as well as the ordinances that preceded it, so that we can be very clear to the public as to what these ordinances were intended to do and what in fact they have done. And so Supervising Deputy County Counsel Tiffany North is here just to clarify that for the public and for the board. And Ms. North will be available to any member of the public should they have any further questions regarding these matters. Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. Tiffany North, Deputy County Counsel. As County Counsel said, I just want to take a moment to clarify the record for the public and the board. The county first adopted residency, sex offender residency restrictions by urgency ordinance 901 in July 2010. At the time of the adoption of the urgency ordinance, the board also introduced a similar non-urgency ordinance, which was ordinance number 902, to be adopted by normal ordinance adoption procedures. When 901 and 902 first went to the board, they both included a residency restriction that prohibited a sex offender from residing within 2,000 feet of a park or school. After ordinance number 901 was adopted, it was determined that the 2,000-foot residency restriction regarding parks and schools was duplicative in ordinance number 902 because it was already covered in state law under the penal code. So in September 2010, the board reintroduced and adopted ordinance number 902 with revisions that strengthened the residency restrictions and loitering requirements, even though it removed the 2,000-foot residency restriction for parks and schools since it was already covered in state law. Once 902 was effective, ordinance number 901 was automatically repealed. I also wanted to take a moment to address some of the comments that were raised about the proposed removal of the current 300-foot restriction in child safety zones that's described in ordinance number 902. That definition of child safety zones and the 300-foot residency or the 300-foot restriction in it are being removed from the ordinance as part of the loitering provisions in the ordinance that we have to remove due to the recent Court of Appeals decisions. Since the loitering provisions are being removed from the ordinance, it also makes sense to remove the definition child safety zone. I will be available to answer any further questions and answer any questions of the public as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no questions right now. Looks like we have Julie Waltz, who has 6 minutes. Come on, Julie. And Paul Jacobs gave up his time, so you have 6 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Gentlemen. I thank you for clarifying that, but you still violated the general rules of California, laws of California, when you introduced that ordinance 901 back in 2010. And furthermore, you violated all the people's. The people voted Jessica's law in, and you violated that too. And you were one of the gentlemen, Mr. Benoit, that was, what do you call it? When everybody was out signing petitions for Jessica's law. So I guess the people spoke about the law, about introducing Jessica's law, and everybody, and you guys just take everything, you do whatever you want to do. The people of the state of California have no right to speak out, to vote laws in, and then it gets all chopped up. That's what happens. And then you slide in on our skirt tails, and you violate laws, and you guys need to be, something needs to be done about it. It really does. You need, even the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said that in order to get anything done, you need to go back to the Senate and change their way of thinking. I think it's just totally disgusting. The only reason you're changing this is to cover up your mistakes. That's all you're doing, is covering up what you guys did wrong. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, there's no more comment. Ready for a motion?
I move approval.
Moved by Supervisor Benoit. I'll second the motion. Seconded by Supervisor Jeffries. Okay, before we vote, council would like to comment.
Thank you, Supervisors. I think it's important to note that the cities and counties are preempted by state law except where they are permitted to vary by direct permission of the state. In the current instance, the California Supreme Court has spoken as to the loitering restrictions and declared them unconstitutional. So every action that this board has taken has been in response to determinations made by the Supreme Court in order to ensure that this board continue to comply with state law. The residency restrictions are now before the California Supreme Court, and again, this board will take action consistent with whatever decision the California Supreme Court makes. So I think it's just important to state and to clarify that the board's actions have always been consistent with state law. Thank you.
Okay, please vote. Okay, passes 4-0.